Well, welcome today to Oak Grove Baptist Church Wednesday night Bible study. It's Wednesday, of course, June the 15th, 2021. And I hope your week has gone well up in this time. And I hope this will be an encouragement to you as we look into the Lord's Word for just a few minutes. I want to speak to you tonight on a statement that we find in the scriptures that is addressed to each of us. And that statement is this: seek the Lord while he may be found. Well, all of us are seekers and have been for a long time. We can remember back as children of around Easter time, then there was the Easter egg hunt. And so there was just a number of kids out there seeking Easter eggs and trying to find the golden egg or the prize egg or whatever it might have been. And as teenagers, we've experienced treasure hunts. Some of those treasure hunts was going in neighborhoods from door to door and seeking certain items to be given to us and take back. And of course, your group would get points for that. And so it was a kind of just a unified time to seek out and to try to win whatever the prize might have been. But if we can update that just a little bit and come nearer home as where we are now, we're still seekers. Today we find ourselves seeking for that wallet that we misplaced. We're looking for the car keys that we didn't put them in the normal place when we come in from the last trip out. We've set our cell phone down somewhere and we don't know where it is. And interestingly, as I thought about this in my own life, uh, how if you come in and it's dark, how you grab the flashlight and go back out and maybe walk the path from the car to the house. Maybe you dropped your keys or misplaced them, your wallet or your credit card, whatever. And so you're even looking for it in the night with the light. But we uh, we roam the house for those things that we can't find. We go back to the car and look again, and we try to retrace in our mind everywhere we've been that could possibly be the place where we left our lost item. And I find myself, when I'm unsuccessful, going back to the same places I have been in the past few minutes and just looking again, just to make sure I haven't overlooked. Now, we laugh at this because, again, it reminds us of ourselves, and that's true. But we kind of put ourselves through the ringer looking for something that we deem as important or something that we need. So it becomes an issue with us. And I'm kind of thinking tonight that these actions that I've just described for myself and for you should be the type of actions that we use as believers to seek out the Lord in our lives. Now, you may ask the question, why bother with seeking the Lord if you've already found him in salvation? Well, there are a number of people who feel like that when they call upon the Lord for salvation, that they have settled their eternity, that they have wrote their name in the register of heaven, and they will go back to their normal life and to their normal habits and to their normal loves because they've set that forth for time in the future. Well, the Bible doesn't call for us to live like that. Matter of fact, our seeking past our salvation is very important because we seek to learn more about the Lord. And as we find out more about the Lord, then we love him more. We get closer to him. And so that seeking is productive. So we want to find ourselves seeking the Lord because this produces more love to him and more faith in him. And the prophet Hosea said in chapter 10, I will plant the good seeds of righteousness, and you will harvest a crop of love. Plow up the hard ground of your hearts, for now is the time to seek the Lord, that he may come and shower righteousness upon you. And then Isaiah chapter 55, familiar to you. Seek ye the Lord while he may be found. Call on him while he is near. The founder of the Navigators, which was a popular a group of people in evangelism, was asked, what do you think is the most important thing a Christian can do for Christ? And his answer might be little different than we would think, because the Navigators were again evangelists and missionaries. They were those who went out and again just pronounced and proclaimed the name of the Lord. His answer was this: never miss a daily time alone with the Lord. Find yourself in his word and find yourself in prayer. So our lives ought to be constructed like that. I think when we find ourselves in the word and we find ourselves in prayer, we are constructing our lives to have a divine encounter with the Lord, and a divine encounter with the Lord every day. We come in contact with God when we read his word, and when we earnestly pray, then certainly we are in contact with the Lord. A turning point in our lives is that when we stop seeking God that we want, that is, we stop seeking a God that we want to be like we want him to be, that like we tell him to be, and we start seeking the God who is. Too many people seek God for what they can get, but the Lord desires to give himself to us, and when he gives himself to us, all of his blessings, encouragement, the Spirit comes with him. So teaching or seeking the Lord will teach us to love him and to fellowship with him and to grow in him. So that ought to be our daily objective. That as we wake up in the morning and as we prepare for the day, whether we're going to work or maybe we're retired and we have other obligations or things to do, that in the midst of that, we are seeking fellowship and we are seeking the very love of God and the presence of God in all that we do. The psalmist said in 27, when thou sayest, seek ye my face, my heart unto thee says, thy face, Lord, will I seek. Let me just say that again. When thou sayest, seek ye my face, then the psalmist says, my heart said unto thee, thy face, Lord, will I seek. Again, he was saying, I'm looking for an encounter with my God. Paul wrote in Philippians 3 of himself, that I may know him and the power of his resurrection and the fellowship of his suffering, being made conformable unto his death. Again, looking, seeking unto the Lord. So seek his face, not his handout. Seek him for who he is and not just for what we want from him. Last Sunday, we talked on prayer, and we used some PowerPoint slides that said, is prayer our steering wheel or is it our spare tire? And we said that sometimes we use prayer like that little red box on the wall in a grocery store and the restaurant that says, in case of emergency, pull the lever. Well, sometimes the lever of prayer is only looked for and used in times of emergency, in times of great distress, or in times of great need. Seeking the Lord is a daily, constant thing in the lives of obedient believers. The psalmist said in chapter 27, again, verse 4, the one thing that I ask of the Lord, the thing I seek most, is to live in the house of the Lord all the days of my life, delighting in the Lord's perfections and meditating in his temple. Delighting in the Lord's perfections. That word delight really is a love word. It joins us in an admiration, a loving admiration for the Lord and his perfection. And again, he says, seeking the Lord, that is meditating in his temple, meditating on the Lord, meditating on who he is and what he's done for us and what he's doing for us and the promises that he's made that are yet to come. In Psalms 37, the psalmist says, take delight in the Lord. Again, that love word there, that relationship word, and he will give you your heart's desire. John said it in 7, chapter 15, verse 7 of Christ. Here's what Christ said to his disciples on the way to the Garden of Gethsemane the night before he was crucified. But if you remain in me and my words remain in you, you may ask for anything you want and it will be granted. So there's a greatness of expectation and a greatness of promise from the Lord when we remain in him and he remains in us. And that comes together when we consistently seek after the Lord. Again, so many are guilty of just seeking the Lord for their personal profit, their personal benefit, and for their fleshly desires. I've had a number of people to say, preacher, would you pray? There's a promotion at my work, and would you pray that I might get that? It's a better paying job. It will be good for my family. And in some instances, those positions were acquired by the people who were asking for prayer. The thing was that in several of them, that the promotion took them out of church because of the responsibility of their job. And then when they were not working on the weekend, they had enough money to go here, there, and yonder. So they turned and walked away from the Lord because of that which he had blessed them with and given them the desire of their heart. People pray that the Lord will open a way for them to maybe get a new boat or a new camper or something of the sort. And then whenever that opportunity is reality, then what we find there is that they use these things on the weekend. And they start on Saturday and they continue through Sunday, only to get home on Sunday night in time to rest and go back to work the next day. So we need to seek the Lord in honesty. We need to seek him in obedience to his word. We need to grow our love, and we need to serve him. And our thoughts as we seek God are to please him in all that we do. The priority of living as a believer, I believe, is to live pleasing unto the Lord. It's so easy to do otherwise. It's so easy to satisfy the flesh. It's so easy to make excuses. It's so easy to alibi our actions and call them necessities and just walk away from the very presence of the Lord and from seeking him in all that we do. Now, seeking the Lord is a command. It's an imperative. We understand that. Seek ye the Lord. That means that's an imperative. You obey that. Now, we're accustomed to biblical commands, and probably those that we remember most are the thou shalt nots. Thou shalt not have any other gods before me. Thou shalt not murder. Thou shalt not covet. And then maybe positively remember, thou shalt keep the Sabbath day, keep it holy. But seeking the Lord, again, is also a command. The psalmist wrote, search for the Lord and for his strength, continually seek him. And then in First Chronicles, also chapter 16, listen to this, search for the Lord and for his strength, continually seek him. Both of those verses are identical. They're identically written in the scriptures there. Again, it's a reminder, repetition of importance. Search out, seek out for the Lord and his strength, and continually seek and search out for the Lord. Again, imperative, commands for God's people. That means there is no wiggle room. In Hosea chapter 10, we repeated or spoke this verse early in the Bible study. Let me repeat it again for us to make a little notation here. So God says through Hosea, I said, plant the good seed of righteousness and you will harvest a crop of love. Plow up the hard ground of your hearts, for now is the time to seek the Lord, that he may come and shower righteousness upon you. Now, this verse speaks about change, changing our lives. That is, if we've drifted away from the Lord, stop, turn around, and seek the Lord again. Notice, plant the good seeds of righteousness. Maybe the indication there is that we're sowing possibly even wild oats. And the old saying is, sow wild oats and then pray for a crop failure. And the problem is that those wild oats come back to produce fruit, and that's not godly fruit and not godly blessings in our lives. And go on, says we must plow the fallow, hard ground of our hearts. Our hearts may be hardened by disappointment or troubles or trials. Sometimes uh, these things in our lives, the trials and tribulations, harden us instead of causing us to melt ourselves before the Lord. And so the prophet speaking for the Lord says to plow that fallow, hard ground uh, and make sure that we get the weeds and the thorns and the thistles out. Make it fit for planting. Don't leave it unfit for planting. And then plant the good seeds of righteousness and produce a crop that the Lord will be pleased with. Peter wrote it like this. He said, like newborn babies, we must crave the pure spiritual milk so that we will grow into a full experience of salvation. Cry out for this nourishment. In the midst of that, we see the like a newborn babe who cries for milk, who cries because of hunger, needing milk, who cries for their mother. We are to cry out, to crave the Lord's attention, and we are to seek Him in our cries in all of His ways. Now, the Bible is clear that we as God's people can be careless and surely lose interest in seeking God. Again, we just heard Hosea, as God spoke through him, plant the good seed of righteousness and plow up the fallow, hard ground so that we might produce a crop of righteousness before the Lord. The writer of Hebrews says this, there comes a time when we ought to be teachers, but yet we have need for someone to teach us again, which be the first principles of the oracles of God. That is a picture of someone who has remained a baby, uh, someone who has become such as just have need of milk and not of strong meat. It's someone who has not grown. It's someone who has not sought the Lord uh, in His Word and sought the Lord in His prayer. Someone who has not grown in the Lord in their obedience and certainly haven't grown in their faith in the Lord. The, the verse says, "Seek the Lord again while He may be found." Uh, Sounds like that there is a time limit to that. Seek the Lord while He may be found. In other words, there may come a time when the Lord is not near, when the Lord is not visible. There may come a time when we, with our hard hearts and uninterested minds and ways, may just become totally uninterested in the things of God. The prophet Ezekiel in chapter 33 wrote these by the Spirit, and they come unto thee as people cometh, and they sit before thee as my people, and they hear thy words, but they will not do them. For with their mouth they show much love, but with their heart goeth after their covetousness. Well, I think a lot of that goes on today in churches. I think a lot of that goes on in the minds and hearts of people today. That is, they see, but they don't see. They hear, but they don't hear. As Ezekiel says, uh, through by the Spirit, and the Lord says they hear the words, my words, but they will not do them. We sit and we listen to the preacher. We study the Sunday school lessons. We hear all the things again that we are reminded that are our responsibility, and yet we don't see them, we don't hear them, and we don't do them. And there may come a time when the Lord abandons and stops speaking at all. The Old Testament said that the Lord hardened Pharaoh's heart. Could it be that the Lord just let him alone, just left him to himself, to his own depravity, and his heart continually became hardened? Hosea said in chapter 4 in his prophecy, Ephraim is joined to idols. Now listen, let him alone. Remember Hosea the prophet speaking the words of the Lord through the Spirit? Ephraim is joined to idols. He has turned to idols. Let him alone. But I want to remind you before we stop tonight that there is hope. James says in chapter 4 and verse 8, draw nigh unto the Lord, or draw near unto the Lord, and he will draw near to you. Cleanse your hands, you sinners, and purify your hearts, you double-minded. So this speaks of cleansing and closeness. Draw near and seek the Lord. Cleanse your hands and seek the Lord while he may be found. There's a song in the old Broadman hymnal that has some lyrics in it that go like this. There's a line that's been drawn by rejecting the Lord. Seemingly you cross that line and God may leave you to the depravity of your heart which will harden itself against the Lord. Let's hear the Lord today. Seek the Lord while he may be found. Well, God bless you tonight. I hope that you enjoyed that. I hope the message speaks to you. It's not my words, but the Lord's words. They certainly speak to me and remind me of great responsibility as I focus and as I seek the Lord in all that I do. May it be so with you. God bless you until the next time.